money.
What up, everybody? I am your host, J5, and welcome to the Block Podcast.
Thank you so much for this experience.
Oh,
the block
no.
has been hot, so I love it.
Yeah. So how did you get yourself to that point to where you were like, okay,
Oh.
one person, I'm gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did you get there? Like, you know, as far as the steps you had to take, I mean, in mentally, I mean, because
It was a lot.
I'm sure.
I actually started thinking about full-time entrepreneurship about 3 years ago or so. It was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
3 to 4 years ago. And if I rewind backwards, owning my own business was never a goal. I never wanted to own a business. I didn't care about owning a business. I wanted to be the next Johnny Cochran and end up on the United States Supreme Court. That was my vision in life. I had a goal.
I went to school for criminal justice. So
Yeah. So I wanted to be on the bench, and I wanted to retire on the bench, and I was going to be the best judge, and had my life plan. I wanted to represent professional athletes.
Okay.
I wanted to do criminal work.
Okay.
So it's funny when, fast forward later, a couple of years back, I remember I was talking on the phone to a friend of mine, and we were talking about goals and things, and it was a Sunday, and I was driving home from church, and it was like this ring went off in my head that God had really given me everything that I wanted, because I was representing professional athletes, and I was working at a criminal defense firm. It just didn't look the way I wanted it to look.
Right.
So, but I literally have accomplished everything I wanted to, because I have, in essence, pretty much practiced law without having to ever go in a courtroom.
Right.
So I had achieved my goals, and I knew at that moment it was time to transition to the next chapter. Okay. So when I started thinking about that, I had already established the business, but I really wasn't working in it. Because I also have a private investigation and security company as well.
Now I saw that. So which came first?
The PI company came first with my ex-husband.
Okay.
And I was just supposed to be a silent partner that became the partner, the real person.
So. Okay.
But that's okay. So yeah, the PI came first. Working with him, I set up the entire foundation. That's even how I even got started to figure out how to open a business.
Exactly.
So started building the blocks of that, and then the following year was when Gifted Minds, my business, came.
Right.
And talking to a friend, that bell went off again, and it was that ring telling me that I needed to have a business where I help people to find their purpose and make it profitable.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there like, I know nothing about business because I have no business background.
Yeah.
I didn't take any business classes other than business law. So
Right.
I was like, okay. But from there, when I accepted that, yes, okay, I'm going to do this, everything else from the name Gifted Minds to every detail has been self-taught and God learned. That's what I always say.
Okay.
So it was just a domino effect of information from there.
Okay.
And then when I decided to make that transition and started talking about it, the more I talked about it, the more I noticed that my time frame started shrinking down. Because at first I was like, oh, I'm going to do it when I turn 40. And then it went down, oh, I'm going to do it when I turn about 38. And then it went down to, well, maybe about 37. Until finally, I met my business partner 2 years ago. And we were talking, and I was telling him, he was full-time entrepreneur already.
Okay.
And he was like, I said, oh my gosh, I really want to do that. And he was like, well, I can really help you do that. And within a year, he did help me do that. Because when you surround yourself with the people that are already doing it, it's so much easier for you to do it. Yeah. So when I made the decision that everything else was going to align, it started to align. And then the excuses started to fade. Because at first it was like, oh, I need the insurance. And then my ex-husband got the insurance on our kids. And then it went to, oh, well, I don't have any extra money saved up. And then my father happened to pass away last year, leaving me with an asset.
Okay. Okay.
So, and he was an entrepreneur. He owned
Okay.
his own businesses, and I had talked to him a month prior to, and we had talked about business, and I was telling him I wanted to go full time into my own business.
Okay.
And he was advocating with me and stuff, and it was the greatest conversation ever. And then a month later, he passes away.
Oh man.
And that was my final confirmation that it was time to move. So when I came back from his funeral and planning all of that, I remember sitting at my desk and I was like, okay, I know I'm doing this.
I'm
and
jumping.
I put that date on the calendar of when I was doing this. And I circled it on my calendar. And when you put it on your calendar and you say you're going to do it, everything else lines up. And from that point on, I was taken more away from my regular job, doing my own other thing than I was in the office.
Yeah.
And to the point, by November of last year, I could care less about that job. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, it definitely starts to deplete your meaning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my God. And especially when you see your worth and your value
Yeah.
of, I can make what I make here in a week, in a day, or in a couple of hours.
And you built it.
It's mine.
That's the, you know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like, and I find this, and I don't know, I always say that, that entrepreneurship is 70-30. 30 is your skills, is your talent, whatever it is that you may do. I don't know. You might have created a product or whatever it is that you do. That's 30%. The other 70 is the mind state.
Yes, it is.
Is the mindset to say that I've started this. I gotta keep going now. You know what I mean? It's that, you know what I mean? I created this. So I have to keep going.
Yes.
And that mindset right there will keep you super busy.
Yeah, and you don't want to go back.
Busy.
I said the day I left that job, I would never work for anybody else ever again, and I meant that. I never think about, I got to go get a job. I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm not ever going to go get a job. I mean, the day I left that job, which is ironically so funny because I turned in my letter of resignation, this beautiful letter of resignation I had written up, and I had been at my job for like 6 years, and I was like the administrator of our software. I had trained the entire staff at our firm and, done a lot of things. Yeah. But the day I turned in my letter of resignation, they walked me out that building. And so at that moment, that tells you your value to a company, of course. But
they didn't give you 2 weeks?
Oh, no. And I gave them a month.
Like, it's a wrap now.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay. Wow. Yeah, but
I've heard of that. I've never experienced it, but
it's something. And it was a shock to my spirit for a second because I was like, hold on a minute.
I know y'all.
Like, I did all this stuff here. But, it was also just that extra confirmation of don't look back. Like, there's nothing left because it was so funny. They walked me out and then HR has the nerve to say, I'll give you a letter of recommendation. I said, for myself? I'm like, what are you giving me a letter of recommendation for? Myself? I'm like, I don't need a letter of recommendation. I'm like, I don't think it clicks in your head because,
right.
Hey.
Exactly. Yeah.